And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thomson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
All right, what is up? Dave's buttons are broken once again. He's pushing things and nothing is happening. It's always that one button problem for him.
That's what he tells her. My buttons are broken.
Exactly. I don't know. The button's broken. I don't know what to do. Yeah, Dave, there's just we're gonna teach you a little couple songs to hum. Everything's gonna be okay.
He trapped her, man. He told her his button was broken. He's got 2 kids now because the button wasn't broken.
All because the button wasn't broken, man.
Oh,
my man. Hold on. We're gonna change the name. It is no longer the Punk. It's the Stem Cell Kid.
It's the Bionic
What's
Man.
up,
It's the
baby?
Bionic
The
Man.
Bionic Man. Oh, there you go.
I mean, there's so much information. I mean, I could give you guys. But just to be honest, I did the stem cells on Thursday. Friday was a little Thursday night to Friday morning was a little rough, and it wasn't like a.
Why was it rough?
Because everything was stiff. Stiff.
Oh, that's the first time in many years, so that's good.
Yeah. So no, it was there was a couple little things. So first off, the morning that I got my stem cells, I did my knee, my hip, my wrist, and my neck to start off, and I was gonna do my shoulder and my other hip, but they talked me out of it. They're like, "Look, this is a lot. I want to make sure that you're able to kind of function the next day." And I'm kind of glad that I did. I could have probably done my shoulder, but then sleeping would have been a little difficult because I could sleep on my left side, and it was comfortable throughout the night. But the hip is something where you have to use for everything, whether it's to walk, whether it's to get in and out of bed, to sit down on the toilet, to sit in a chair, to whatever it is. Yeah, so the hip was the one that kind of was so tight that through the night it kind of bothered me a little bit. And the knee, everyone kept telling me the knee was going to be the worst. It actually wasn't. The knee wasn't the worst. The knee now is kind of the worst because the hip now, the mobility is there and the movement is there. That first 2 days, the hip was the one that was giving me not problems. It was the tightest. But once the tightness went away after that, but this is funny. John, Thursday night to Friday night, I wake up around 3 a.m. I have to go to the bathroom. So I get out of bed and
that right there is age. Just so you know,
it's painful. It was painful to get out of bed. So I get out of bed. I'm like, and I'm walking, but I had left the window open in my hospital room, and so it's freezing in my room. And underneath my blankets, I had like 4 blankets. I was snuggled up. I had 4 pillows. I was in heaven. I get out of bed to go to the bathroom. All I got to do is just take a piss. But as I'm there, in hospitals they got the not hardwood floors. They've got the tile floors. And so I'm walking, it's freezing,
Linoleum.
And I'm in my tarantarans, and I've got the gown thing on. I got my tarantarans, and I'm there trying to take a piss. It's so fucking cold that I'm shivering, but the shivering is causing so much pain and tightness in my hip and my knee that I can't piss. It took me 10 minutes to fucking take a piss. It was so painful, and finally I just took a couple deep breaths. I was like, okay, get your mind off of this. Get your mind. Finally, I was able to get it out.
You had to get yourself psyched up to take a leak, man.
It was like getting into a cold plunge. When you get in, you're like, okay, relax the mind. Okay, take a couple deep breaths. Anyways, so that got done.
I just got the chills from even thinking.
Yeah, and I got back into bed, cozied back up, went right back to sleep, slept like a champ.
Now, I didn't know that you stayed in a hospital
just because of my neck. So they want to make sure they can observe you overnight because they do put you under for your neck and your spine. So I didn't know that going there. I thought when I had talked to Scotty, I talked to some of I thought I had brought up like, hey, I don't want to be put under, whatever. He's like, oh no, you're good. And so I think he meant like, oh no, we've done thousands and thousands of these. You'll be okay, is what he meant.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah. And so, So what it was just funny though, John. I got to tell you this. So they kind of started to put me not under before they did the shots, but they gave me some medication before they did my wrist and then my knee and then they did my hip last. And all I remember is they started on my wrist and I could feel the needle jab into my wrist. And then they went to my knee and I felt them moving my knee and I felt the needle kind of prick a little bit, but there was no pain, because they're just doing the one shot. They're doing an ultrasound to see exactly where they want to go. The needle goes right to the spot. They inject the stem cells and it's perfect. They went to my hip, and he's like, okay, hey, pull your underwear down to a certain point, and he could tell that the drugs were starting to kick in. And because my thumbs weren't working. And so they kind of assisted to help get it down to where they needed. They did the hip. I didn't feel anything to do with the hip. Then the guy asked me to roll over so he could do my spine. He's like, hey, roll over on the bed. So I was going to turn over. So they lift the gown, like kind of thing, the blanket or the sheet so I could turn over. It was like, John, it was so funny. It was like this, when like you're trying to do something, but you can't lift your head. And it was my face across the bed. It's just like I was trying to turn and I couldn't get my body up off the bed, so I just rolled. And the guy goes, and the doctor goes, the nurse goes, he's like, I'll help you, Josh. I got you, buddy. I got you. But my face was dragging across the bed like this. It was just so. It was. I could just tell. I turn over, and they're like, and I could hear them talking. Okay, hey, we're gonna start the neck procedure, and then all I remember is just waking up. The whole thing was completely painless. Great time. Even when I woke up, but I wanted the point.
Doesn't your face?
Go ahead.
Doesn't your face? Don't you do that with your face in like a typical Sunday morning when you wake up?
No, man. I'm an early riser.
He does that. He does that usually after we drink.
Yeah. This is very true. That's usually how I get into bed. Like just scrape my face across the bed. Yeah. So it was good, man. Woke up in the middle of the night. Had some, taking a piss was rough. In the morning, it was a little rough getting in and out of bed. But this is what I wanted to tell. I was expecting it to be like surgery, where like the next day you wake up and everything's pulsing, like painfully pulsing. And it wasn't. It's more of like someone getting like leg kicked. You've been leg kicked and you got like a dead leg. When you remember when we did dead leg back when you're in high school or whatever, someone would come up and knee you in the thigh. Yep. But that's what it feels like right above my knee, kind of in the quad area. It felt like that for my knee injection. And then my hip, it just felt tight. And then today my hip is great. I can lift it all the way up for once with no pinching or like pingement. So that, and then my wrist is going to take a while, he said, because it's a smaller area, surface area of like ligaments and tendons, but it actually already feels a little bit stronger. But this is and I know you have this before in the past, and a ton of people with their necks have this issue. For 15 years, I haven't been able to look up to the sky. And and so, so in 15 years, I've only been able to look up about like this far. So literally after I waited, but I'm going to just demonstrate. They told me not to do this too many times because they said you have to give it a full, 30, 60, 90 days before you start doing too much of it. But I can literally do this.
Holy shit.
And there's no pain. There's no pain. There's no like restriction, nothing. Now.
And here's the difference between what you just did and what.
That's you.
That's me right there.
That's as far as you can go. That's why I said you understand this. For 15 years, I have not. Maybe about 12. Sorry, about 12 years.
See, that's why when if to get a can of Coke or a Monster or that's why I like to drink a beer out of a bottle. See, because it gets to this. I memean, I'll have like that much in there, and I got to do the limbo to try to get back there to drink it. Where see, with a beer bottle, I can tilt the bottle up, and
you know what? I figured it out. I'm just gonna get you a straw, a little sissy stick for you.
No.
Get you a sissy stick.
I'm not drinking out of a straw.
But that is, and I can look obviously left to right. They've told me, like Scotty Nelson told me, and Ed of the guys all from there. They've all told me, like, look, your neck is gonna be the first thing that feels great. Do not overdo it. Do not overdo it. Yeah. Give it the 30 days, 60, 90 days. They recommend a full 90. Do the rehab. Be strong with the rehab, that type of stuff. So I've already got some rehab scheduled. This is something that's just, I don't know. I was a little hesitant at first in terms of like, hey, how much will it really help? You know
what? I'm going off of you.
Yes.
Because, see, if it works, then I'll do it. Mm-hmm. But I still don't think it won't work on my neck. My neck is what it is. It can't do anything.
But there's a lot of people that went for their lower lumbar and their back. So they were doing like their L5, L6, like they're doing their lower levels. A lot of them did their neck also. People were going there for a return. I didn't know this, but the stem cells that they inject right into your vertebrae, into that area there, it actually is like more of a jelly type that they've created. And it actually gives you a little bit bigger of a gap. That's why I'm able to go ahead and do my lean back, is because it's made my what is it called?
Well, are they actually putting it into the disc?
Yeah, they're putting it right into the disc. And so when they put it into the disc, it's making your disc a little bit bigger, back to like when you were young and like 50,
getting taller.
like 50 years ago. So
going back to 6'4".
Yes. And that is funny that you say that, because that was some of the questions. Like, hey, will this actually make me taller because it's making my disc? They said, yeah, you might notice a half an inch, maybe a full inch difference in your height, because we're actually making your vertebrae.
Shit, they should shoot that stuff someplace else.
which by the way, they can.
Oh no.
Yes, this they can.
No one's ever shooting any kind of needles into my crank.
It's so funny. I got a story for you on this. She goes, look, we started doing this, and she goes, the week, like obviously on Monday, we tell everyone, hey, we do this, because they now use stem cells for, instead of doing Botox, they use stem cells for cosmetic for your face. So, and you don't have to have it redone every 2 months, 3 months like you do for Botox. So they're using stem cells for that, and also too for hairline. I said, Dave's going to need it in a couple of years. He's going to have to get on this, and so I was like, okay, cool. So they do hairlines. What they do with the hairline is, it's not like where they're recreating the follicles. What they're doing is they're taking the hairlines, the hair that you have, and they're making them thicker. So it's not like they're actually giving you implants or doing anything like that. They're just using the stem cells to help create like thicker hair. That's it. So there's that. They do the facial stuff. They do a lot of cosmetic stuff. But I was really surprised on all the stuff that stem cells are able to do. And like I said, if people are interested and people want to know more details, I can get you guys connected with one of the co-founders who I'm very close with. Been friends with him for 20 plus years. So hit me up in my DMs, and we're going to have him on the show for sure. His name is Scotty Nelson. You guys can give him a follow too on Instagram. But they're CPI stem cells. They're out of Tijuana. It's a lot easier than going to Colombia, a lot easier than going to Panama City. And you land in San Diego, they drive you across. Within 40 minutes, I was in the chair getting my NADs, getting my ozone, getting my Myers cocktail, getting ready. The first 2 to 3 days is just a process of build up to you getting your injections on Thursdays and Fridays. That's really what it comes down to. I came back Saturday. They drove me across. Had a nice dinner last night in San Diego because I couldn't get a flight out. They would have got me home in time. And then got home this morning, and here I am. But there's so many things like this.
I just hope it works for you.
I hope so too. Oh,
dude, just the movement of your head, because look,
that's crazy.
Yours wasn't as bad as mine, but it's still you didn't put your head back very far.
No, I could literally like do this. Like I would throw the kids, and I had to like take a step back. Come back in and try and catch.
Look. Yes, catch. Yeah.
But then for me, what it was,
do it with my grandson.
And the thing with me was the wrist. So then my wrist was messed up. So then it would almost dislocate every single time that I would train grappling. You know how you defend an armbar, right? You put your hand in here and put the other hand inside to the back of the leg. And I've had my wrist almost dislocate when I was training with Ricardo Almeida. My left wrist had the same exact injury, and it did fully dislocate. I had to have full surgery on it because of that. And then my right one now is having the same problem. And they said it's directly connected to the Benson fight, because that ligament that from my thumb that tore all the way up into my wrist is the same ligament that I'm having problems with. So they're like, hey, this should help.
So now you're going to blame me for that. I should have stopped.
Nah. You should.
He's just going to send you the bill for the stem cell.
Yeah, I'm going to send you that. But hey, if anyone is interested, and I'm going to give you guys full true reports. If I don't see benefits, and that was part of my agreement with Scotty, was that I would go back for a follow-up, within a 6-month period, and then do a year-long one as well. Him and I are working together in terms of, I said, hey, I'm not going to lie about anything. If my wrist is not feeling better, it's not feeling better. Don't expect me to say that it is. I go, but if my knee is feeling better, I'll say it. I can already tell you now, my hip, I can lift my hip to put my shoes and socks on without any impingement right now. And that is soon. I know that's soon, but these are all the benefits. So if you guys have problems, lasting issues, whatever, hit them up. The elbows, the shoulders, the knees apparently are the 3 worst feeling ones, because there's just not as much there's to deal with in there. So when they inject in there, you're having to deal with stiffness and a lot of stiffness. But I was expecting it to be like a pulsing, throbbing pain, like all night, like a surgery for like a week. I mean, John, I literally was walking around all day today. Tried not to overdo it, but I got on the flight, walked from gate to gate, walked, baggage claim, walked, did all this stuff, and it's not a big deal. So fingers crossed.
Did you notice how everyone was kind of getting out of your way? They knew. They said it's the stem cell.
Nah, it's the bionic. The bionic, man. Yeah.
Okay, so the real questions, do you feel like this could be enough to give you maybe a 1 or 2 fight run and be
look at Dave trying to push
can doing it fuck the whole thing up.
We're gonna find out, man. We're gonna find out. I mean, I also, on top of all the stem cells, I did into. So I want to say 30 million in my knee. I did 30 million, 50 million in my hip. I did 10 million in my wrist. And I did 50 million in my neck, but then I also did 110 million in an IV.
You talking pesos or USD?
No, 10 million stem cells. Jeez,
stem cells.
I wouldn't expect you to understand. You're from Scotland. But yeah, no. Then we did another 110 million IV. So that was the next day after we did 110 million IV, and then we did some ozone as well to help with the stem cells to reattach or to attach to the areas. But yeah, so look, we'll have Scotty on here pretty soon, and he'll break it all down. Also, too, with one of his business partners, Ed. And then we'll get more details on it. If you guys have questions, we'll put out a Q&A. You guys can ask away. Maybe it's something that maybe we'll try and do that one live or something, so people can get direct questions and answers. So that might be fun.
Very good.
But all right, enough about it. I did meet somebody there. I did meet somebody there though. Who's this young kid? He's a boxer. He's one of the YouTube boxers. His name's Dean the Great. But kid's got power, man. If you can pull him up real quick there, Dave. Dean the Great. You see that picture I took with him right there? He's the one with the dreads.
How do you know he's got power?
I've seen his fights, man.
Yeah, but who's he fighting?
Other YouTubers. But
okay,
click on him. John, you tell me when you see him fight.
Okay.
When you see his power, he's got some power. He's got some pop, man. Speed, athletic. But one of his first sparring sessions, he's kind of him and Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia are going back and forth.
Oh, I know. Good. He's a dummy.
He's
going to get killed.
Look, I didn't say he wasn't. I didn't say that he was going to win the fight. But he was down there also getting stem cells for his hands because he had some problems with his hands after one of these knockouts. But he's got some pretty big pop, man. But he actually posted a video to be humble.
He kind of throws everything into it. Jesus Christ.
He does. He dislocated his shoulder. That's why he's only throwing his right hand right now. So his left shoulder is dislocated. So he's actually a southpaw. Or sorry, he's actually conventional, but he had to switch because he dislocated his left shoulder. But yeah, no, good kid, super humble, very nice. And I was kind of surprised because he's a YouTuber. I was expecting him to be a different, type person. But very nice kid. Looking forward to seeing him fight moving on. So good for him.
We'll have to root for him.
Yeah. I'll have to root for him a little bit. Very nice. He's one of the guys that when he took the NAD, no good for him. What I've noticed with the NAD is when you get that feeling, because you asked me about it too, that feeling, it gets a little bit of a rush through your body. You got to stand up.
It's a big rush for people.
You got to stand up and walk around. He got up. What happened was he took the NAD and he fell asleep. So when he did wake up, he was not feeling. He wasn't feeling good. He was like, he was all over he looked like he was a drunken boxer. He looked, he looked like Jackie Chan in that movie. What was it? Drunken warrior, drunken something.
Yeah. Drunken ninja.
Something like that. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, hey, we got a lot to talk about, but you know what? We're gonna, instead of jumping right to the fights, there's some stuff we talked about last week.
Yeah, we did.
And we talked about
we had people actually comment.
Well, it's
come back at us.
Look, especially legends like this, man. She is going to be, I consider her to be one of the best boxers to ever female boxers to step foot into the ring. Is Amanda Serrano. We had talked about the WBC not allowing women to have 12-round fights and 3 minutes long
rounds.
And just so we're clear, the WBC also sent the Weighing In podcast a DM, but we first want to read what we talk. I first want to talk about what we said last week. John, why don't you go ahead and say what you said, because I said something a little bit differently than what you said. But we kind of agreed a little bit, but it was like I had a different idea on how to attack this thing.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing is you can take a look at women's MMA and the fact that there is not one single thing that is different in women's MMA from men's MMA. And that is exactly the way it should be for boxing. To sit there and say that a woman, needs to do a 2-minute round. And again, I'm not saying that a 2-minute round is a terrible thing as far as bare knuckle boxing. Look at, I'm one of the ones that told him, hey, do a 2-minute round. And there's reasons for it. But when you're talking about the same sport, because bare knuckle boxing is its own sport, when you're talking about, hey, we have different regulations for women and men, you're probably making a mistake. And they're going to sit there and say their things, and we'll talk about what they said. But it should be that Amanda Serrano, being the person that she is, being the fighter that she is, putting in the same amount of time as every man that is a phenomenal fighter puts in, she deserves to have her rule set the same as their rule set. That's it.
I can completely agree with you on that. But like I said about what I said last week was no different than how I feel about females basketball, the WNBA. If you want to make it more entertaining, which is what this is the entertainment business, whether it's boxing, whether it's basketball, whether it's football, whatever it is, you need to make it entertainment. Entertaining. That's what this is. So instead of running Amanda Serrano, and I'm talking directly to you, you should come to them with some sort of solution. And I'm not trying to tell you how to do it. I'm just trying to give you some suggestions. In the WNBA, I suggested we lower the hoop a little bit so we can see females dunk on each other. I want to see another female get posterized. That's what makes Jordan's legendary dunks over people so the history lives on in kids' rooms up on the wall. Okay. And then what would be more iconic than if you're a young female having your favorite female basketball player, okay, being able to posterizing another female that maybe you don't like. And now that's a picture you hang on your wall. Right now, you don't have that ability because the rim is too high. There's a handful, and I say handful in terms of maybe 3 that can dunk.
That's not a handful.
Yeah.
That's someone losing digits.
I'm being nice though, John. Okay. This is what I'm trying to say. This is the entertainment business. We are trying to make sure that the crowds stay.
Yeah. What you're saying is if you took the basket and lowered it 1 foot from 10 foot to 9 foot, that would now take what is basically 2 people in the WNBA able to dunk. And now we would have
40%,
52 people.
Yeah, 50 maybe we have 40%,
102 people.
And 40% of them now maybe potentially can dunk. And now that it's also obtainable, that you may end up having those athletes work harder to get to that. That's the other thing is that females, no different than male, they will adjust to it. They will make it work. When you talked about females MMA, that there was arguments that they should only fight a certain amount of time and not do 5 rounds, but look, they will make those adjustments, and over the years they have. And as those fights over the years have gotten way better, and I can give you an example: Weili and Joanna. Hello, they have. It was just as good a fight in the first round as it was in the 5th, because they've made those adjustments. They've adapted their training to work around that. There's no difference in WNBA. Is they will start then learning to focus more on the dunking.
I'm glad you bring that up, because what we need to do is now, Amanda sent a very nice text out saying, something about me, and that's great. And that, look, literally, the expression of talking about the female and time in sports and all that stuff. Great. But then, as you said, the WBC sent us something, and it was what they sent us. I look at and I go, you're blowing it. You're just blowing it, because what you're trying to act like, we're doing this for reasons. You cannot separate the male and the female athlete when it comes to, we're going to do this to benefit one over the other. You can't do that, because all it does is make you look like, and I don't care which way it goes, you're looking as a separatist. You can't do it. What they said is, we agree with you. They can fight 3x12s. Okay. Meaning that A woman can fight a 3-minute round and 12 rounds. The problem is that they have a significantly higher risk of suffering a concussion or severe injury, a longer recovery time, and our work is to prevent this type of situations. That's the first thing they said. Let's talk about that, because what they're saying is if you fight a longer fight, you do have there's a higher risk for you to suffer concussion, because a concussion can come at any time during any fight, be it boxing or MMA. Okay. The fight that you brought up, Wei Li versus Joanna, would it have been better for both of those athletes if they had not fought the last 2 rounds? Yes. You've got to say yes.
Like physically, is that what you're
physically,
saying? Yes.
Yes.
Would it be better for any athlete to not take more damage for 2 more rounds?
So hold on. We were talking just the other day about Adesanya versus Gastelum.
Mm-hmm.
Would it not have been better for them not to fight the last 2 rounds of that, because they both took incredible damage in that? Wouldn't it have been better for Robbie Lawler and Rory McDonald to not have fought into the 5th round and to have that fight stopped in the 3rd round? Wouldn't it have been better for both fighters? Absolutely. It would. The less you fight, the better off you are. Okay, that's male or female. To sit there and to say, we're doing this so they don't suffer a concussion, you cannot tell me that a woman suffers a concussion more severe than a man. Men, for the most part, hit harder than the women. The women tend to have fights that go longer, based upon the fact that they don't have usually that one punch knockout power that you'll get from a lot of men. So the concussion part is, hey, a concussion can happen at any time in a fight. That's part of the sport. And I agree with them. A concussion's a bad thing. I don't like them. I talk about them all the time when it comes to people talking about someone's leg breaking. I said, look, we have things happen all the time that are worse than a leg break. A concussion, that's your brain, that's your personality, that's everything. That's something that needs to be worried about. And so I understand when you sit there and say it, oh, but there's a higher risk. Sure there is. But if you're not doing that for the men, then why are you doing that for the women? You're separating things.
Can I ask you?
You can't do that.
Can I ask you this?
Go ahead.
Who came first, the chicken or the egg kind of bullshit, right? But this is the thing, and I've felt this way about professional football. Back in the day, they had padded practices, Oklahoma drill, all of those things, and they had suffered concussions throughout practices. They suffered concussions throughout the games. Okay?
Sure.
But I want to ask you, which one is worse? To get your body used to taking that damage and still taking it every single day? Or what we're seeing now is people getting knocked out so bad in games that they're posturing. And you've talked about posturing. Their hands go stiff. Their body goes stiff. It's because their body's not used to taking that type of damage. So
it's like, how many times have you heard about soft skin? We talk about soft skin if we're rolling.
We talk about Dave all the time. Yeah.
But there's a thing called soft skin, and it's real for you. When we have people starting to roll, we tell them all the time, look, they're going to get marks from the gi and everything like that. And you say, hey, you got to kind of build up. You'll build up, your body will automatically build up almost a callus to it. It makes your skin gets tougher. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing with learning how to accept impacts and hits. Your body learns how to accept those things. And the more you do it, I'm not saying it's better for you, but the better off you are at absorbing it. And the less you do it, usually you're not too good at absorbing it when it happens because you're not used to it.
Well, let's be honest. We all chose this sport because we chose violence. We knew what we were getting ourselves into. And I'm not saying that I don't want people to look out for us in our best interest. I'm not saying that at all. Yeah. Because fighters will never do that for themselves. They'll take the road that they shouldn't be taking because they have dreams that they believe that they conquer. In this scenario and situation is, I've said multiple times that I think no different than the NBA, the women's NBA, and with, I think, with female boxing. I can agree with Amanda Serrano. But I also think that if you want to do it for 3 minutes and 12 rounds, I think what you've got to do is you got to lower the glove size. Watching them hit each other with pillows on their hands because they are a lot smaller than the males. Then, if you're looking at Clarissa Shields, okay, then she can still wear a 10 or a 12, whatever it is. You know,
She's
an 8 or a 10.
She's a bigger woman,
She's
though.
a bigger female.
She's a bigger
and
woman.
So what I would say is, look, for someone like Amanda Serrano, let's have her fight in 6 or 8 ounce gloves. That's what we should be at 6 ounce glove. I'm not even sure exactly what you can do is, but let's make
normally it's 8 and 10 ounce.
Exactly. But let's make it more entertaining for the fans at home, the spectators at home. Plus, that gives you the WBC a reason to say, hey, look, once this person is taking real shots and they go down, they're done. Versus now I'm taking accumulative damage for 12 rounds with pillows on my hands, but now I'm just basically getting concussed over and over and over again. Which one is better?
That's it.
That's the argument. The argument is no different than football. Now we've taken away padded practices. You get one a week. And now you see them get in a game. They get knocked out, and they get knocked out viciously by hits that their body just wasn't, they're just not able to handle. So what you've done now is all the weeks that they practice in the 16 weeks, 18 weeks, whatever it is that they're playing, they're only touching each other, like in terms of contact, once a week. Do you think when they get into a game, those guys are holding back? Absolutely not. It is a semi-truck running into a Subaru. That's what it is every single time. And what do you think's going to happen? Of course, you're going to have more knockouts. So I guess at the end of the day, you have to ask, which one is worse? The accumulative damage daily or the hardcore knockout where you're actually supposed to take 45 to 90 days off? The NFL, they've put a Band-Aid on this. That's what they've done. They've said, hey, okay, this guy now has been knocked out, concussed. Okay, he's going to miss 10 days. Whoopee. Any doctor you talk to will tell you
10 days ain't
10 days is not enough. Exactly. And I've heard all the way up to 60 to 90 days of keeping your brain without working. Like, don't read, just lay around.
No math problems, no calculations.
No word problems, no math problems. Don't read, lay there and just almost like as if you're in a float tank and be a vegetable. Yeah. That will help your brain eat high in fats, whether it's avocados, things like that, to help your brain recover. That's what I've heard. Obviously, the NFL doesn't do that. So how much do they really care? And
this isn't the NFL. We're talking about the WBC, but
I'm saying
let me go farther in what they said though. Whenever there are fatalities, everyone asks themselves, could we have done something different to prevent it? This is one of those decisions. Okay, this is when you're talking about fatalities. Are there fatalities in boxing? Absolutely. And it is something to worry about. But fatalities in boxing normally come from repetitive hits and someone taking those hits while either a corner, a referee could have possibly stopped it and they let the fight go on longer. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying they're wrong. That's absolutely true. And I understand by saying this is one of those decisions. And they're right. It's one of those decisions in what made boxing go from 15 rounds to 12 rounds. You know, it was Boom Boom Mancini against Kim. That was the fight that really put it over. And that was when 12 rounds came in instead of 15. So you did that for the men. Why is it different for the women? It's not. We know not everyone will agree with us, but we are basing our decision in science and medical research. Now you're not. If you don't trust us, please do a little research for yourself. I've done too much, and I've done too much with doctors. It's only fair as we both want to understand each other's point of view. They can do what they want. But again, if you are going to make this type of statement, which is a good statement, nothing wrong with it at all. I'm not saying the WBC is wrong, because less time in the ring, less time in the cage, any of those things is usually going to up your odds of less damage to the fighters. But if you're going to allow men to do something, you have no right in not allowing women to do the same thing. If you are going to protect women in this fashion, then you should be protecting the men.
John, look at I'm going to agree with you 100% in that portion of it. I really believe that this is a way, and maybe I'm wrong, but you cannot treat it for women to get into combat sports. They don't want to be treated differently. They want to be treated the same. So
Absolutely.
give them that right to be treated the same in this scenario. Give them the 3-minute rounds, 12 rounds. Give it to them. But I think from a promotional standpoint, this all comes down to money. They need to make it more entertaining. And I think that's why, no matter all the stuff that they are telling me right now in this DM that they sent to us, and maybe they're being upfront about it. Maybe this is what they really believe. But
I'm not doubting it's what
I think there's maybe there is some portion of that. But at the end of the day, we all understand that females boxing is not at the entertainment level of which males boxing is. And the way to do that is to do something like I've suggested, 6 and 8 ounce gloves, and then maybe move on to 10 ounce gloves for females, 154 and above, like they do for the males. That would be my biggest suggestion. No different than the WNBA and any other sports that are looking to compete and have the same equal rights as the male sports. I think that's where you got to go with this. And what my comments were to Amanda Serrano, she vacates the title. Amanda, you have.
When you have that title, you need to use that title and negotiate.
That's what I said. You have the ability to make changes. And I know you are a vocal person.
You'll never have more of an opportunity to make those changes by being on the inside, not on the outside. When you're on the outside, you're not going to make any changes. When you're on the inside as the champion of that sanctioning body, you will never have as much power as you have at that moment.
She needs to utilize that power. She needs to utilize her voice. She is well-spoken. She understands what she's been through and what got her to that level. She believes that she can fight, and she knows she can fight 3-minute, 12 minutes. She knows she can do this. I'm sorry. Let's make adjustments. Let's talk about what your real problem is, WBC, and let's sit down and have a conversation and work towards a solution. And I said this on our last show. We have spent too much time, not just you and I, but everybody in this world, as of lately, of course, has spent too much time arguing over stupid shit. Nobody has a solution to anything. Give me solutions. Okay, Amanda, leaving is not a solution. You're running from the problem.
I agree.
Be that voice. Be that leader that we all know you are. Be it. That's what I want to see from her. Because I think she is that woman that can make changes for the sport for the better. And I'm hoping she utilizes that. I'm hoping.
I agree with you. You know, and when you're saying like she in this position, I understand why you're pissed off. I understand why you just say screw it. But those are the times that you got to say, all right, now it's time for me to use my position and my placement within your sanctioning body to get change in motion.
Absolutely.
And I think she could do it. She could do it.
Absolutely she can. Absolutely she can. All right. Well, hopefully there's some changes coming there for her and for females boxing. That's
and I'm going to put it out there. You know, look, I know people with the WBC and any of them, you know, and all the way to Mauricio Suleiman. If you want to come on and debate this, man, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to, you know, hear what, you know, you guys think. Come on the show. Let's talk about it.
Absolutely. Always more than welcome.
Or Amanda. I think we might, you know what? I'm going to contact Amanda. Time to get Amanda on the show and we'll talk about it through her too.
Sounds like a plan.
I like that. All right. So let's go. We got the UFC that was supposed to be in Shanghai. Mm-hmm. You've been to Shanghai.
Yes, I have.
I've been to Shanghai. And I know that everybody on that commentary team said, thank God I didn't have to travel to Shanghai.
I didn't mind Shanghai. Beijing, Shanghai.
I didn't mind Shanghai either, but I don't like the travel there.
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass.
Guangzhou. I've been everywhere in China, in Asia, man. I've been so many places. Jiangmen, Jinjin. I can't even. There's so many places I've been. Nanhai. Man, I've been to all these places. It's crazy. I spent like 6 months there, 3 months at one time, and then another 3 months another time. It was fantastic. I had a great time. People were so nice.
I had a great time.
But it was the first time, John, I had ever felt like don't take this the wrong way, I felt like a zoo animal. I went to the mall there, and I had little kids pulling on their mom. as I was going up the escalator and pointing
at you
because they
Oh, yeah.
they had never seen. I don't know if they had ever seen a white person, and whatever you want to call me. I'm half Mexican, so they ever seen someone Caucasian in person. I'm sure they'd seen me on TV, but I don't think they had ever seen someone like me in person because it was hilarious. All the kids pull on their mom or their dad and just point at me as I'd walk by. It was, I thought it was kind of cool. I'd wave to them and they'd wave back.
They're all pointing and
shy.
going, what the hell is he doing here?
I didn't know they made jaw lines like that.
Whoa, there it is.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get into the UFC. What is this? UFC Fight Night. I'm sure it's like 90 something. 82?
Vegas 83.
83. I just got to remember whatever the last number is, it's that. And then I got to remember the number before that, 8 or 9 or 7. All right. Go ahead, John. Talk about it. Let's go.
Well, look, we had the main event with Yadong Song or Song Yadong, either way you want to do it. I don't know. Because I hear his name announced one way, and then on his shorts, it's got Song as his last name. Mm-hmm. So look at the guy, whatever you want to call him. You call him a fighter because the son bitch is good. Going against Chris Gutierrez. This was a big shot for Chris, and Chris is an outstanding fighter. And going into this, I thought the main problem there was going to be between the two is I thought Chris was the slower fighter. I thought Yadong Song is a guy that's got speed. Mm-hmm. He's got good wrestling. If Chris has to be in the stand-up with him, he's going to have to try to counter someone who's much faster than him. That's not easy to do all the time. Chris is good with his kicks and his knees, but in the end, when you watch this fight, you're watching. And it's not that Chris is old. He's not, but he's that guy that he's never had quite the speed that Yadong Song's got. He doesn't have the power in his hands that Song has. And so he's out there and he's going to have to take chances. And it was really the real question was, does Yadong Song ever try to take the fight to the ground? Because if he puts Chris on his back, Chris is going to have a hard time submitting him. He's got a super good base and he's got great ground and pound. And that's going to take away the one thing that I thought Chris Gutierrez had as an advantage was his kicks. Mm-hmm. His kicks are good. And then his kicks are a much wider variety than what Yadong Song will kick to the calf a little bit. He'll kick to the thigh every now and then, but doesn't really kick a ton. But Chris Gutierrez does, and he's good with it. He just wasn't able to adjust to the speed. He tried at times, and you're going to have to take big chances. And I think as he was feeling the power of Song, and then as all of a sudden the takedown started going into about the third round, there just wasn't any kind of flow for Chris Gutierrez to get into, to be able to handle what Song was able to do whenever he wanted.
I feel like I owe Chris Gutierrez an apology. David sent out a text after he had got done editing the video last week. And he's like, Josh, he's said it like in a generalization, but I know it was directed towards me. I would say I kind of shit on him. And I didn't mean to. I just wanted to I'll clear that up. And what it was I said all the things that you just said, but I just knew that Chris was going to be outmatched in terms of the speed,
just a tough fight,
power, the ability to get takedowns was not going to be there. Yadong Song's got really good takedown defense, how fast he is, his scrambling ability, and it's nothing against Chris Gutierrez. He's just getting a little bit older in age. He's never been a fast fighter. I did think that he could potentially catch Yadong Song maybe in a clinch where he could scramble, maybe get to the neck, something along those lines. But he just, the moments were never there. But I will say this. He fought a way better fight than I thought. I thought he was going to get clipped earlier, like in the second third, as he started to slow down even more as the fight went on. I know that he didn't really get to have a whole lot of advantages in that fight. But he had moments where I'm like, okay, that's good. KO, that's good. He was doing stuff with the kicks. His footwork was nice. He was keeping
the kicks up the middle. Look at the kick, the straight teeps up the middle. They were money for him because it was a good jab. And a couple times it caught Yadong Song flush.
Yeah.
And, he did not expect it, came straight up, and he's kind of like, what? Okay.
And that is what you use when somebody's faster and hits harder with you. You hit that push kick right up the middle. You use that length of your foot versus the jab and putting yourself in jeopardy of getting clipped. If you guys go back and watch my first Gilbert fight, I used that push kick a lot because I knew Gilbert had a really good right hand. And so keeping him at bay with the kick was a lot better than me trying to jab my way in and potentially getting clipped and knocked out. This is what Chris did. He used his push kick quite a bit. His footwork was money. I thought he did a lot better job. He did the best he could with what he has to work with. And like I said, I feel like I owe him an apology. I didn't mean to try to shit on you, man. I just knew you were fighting an uphill battle. That was one thing, and it had to be said. And but overall, Yadong Song, I can't take anything away from him. Fought a great fight, smart. But I will say this though: if you are going to call out for someone like Peter Yan, which he did later in the press conference, guys like Chris, you need to finish. And I'm not. It's in that. Look, I know Chris he's a veteran. He's tough as nails. He's going to be hard to finish. But if you're looking to get that big jump, you've got to have those fights that make you stand out. The UFC, the history has shown, you can't fight somebody that is at your level or a little bit lower. You've got to get them out of there. If you want to make a push to that top 5, that top 3, they need finishes. They need to see explosiveness. They need to see domination. They need to see, like Dana said, stone cold killers in there. I need guys that they're going to get after it. They're not going to play it safe. They're not going to let you push kick me from far. You're going to work your way through that and try to finish that fight every moment. And I think he lacked that a little bit in this fight. And some of that is because of the way Chris fought and how he kept him guessing with the footwork and the kicking. Yeah. Great job by Chris. Not enough to get the win, but Yadong Song, if you're going to make that next step up, got to see a little bit more activity and more emphasis on getting the finish. Am I wrong? Or
no,
okay,
not at all. You're not wrong in any fashion. I just look at this. I'm serious when I watch the fight. Sometimes when we're always going to look and say, look, this is the guy who's the odds-on favorite for winning this fight, and that was definitely Song. But it's not always the best fighter that wins the fight.
It's true,
and it's the person that's able to find that little that little hole in the game, that little mistake that they make, and take advantage of it. Chris just wasn't able to do that. But I was thinking, as I watched this, I said, who I would really like to see. I'm not too sure about the Peter Yan call out.
Yeah.
But after watching the Davison Figueiredo fight, I thought him against Yadong Song would actually be a good fight. That would be that'd be a
very
matchup.
fun fight.
Yeah.
That's a very fun fight. Both really fast, very explosive, Good on the feet, good takedown defense from one, good takedowns on the other. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a big welcoming party. Look, and they're ranked number 7, number 8 right there, side by side with each other.
Yeah.
I do like the Peter Yan call out, but I need to see more. You're calling out a former champion. I need to see, your fight right before calling that guy out. I need to see a finish. I need to see hey, I'm dominant. I can call out whoever I want in that top 5 now. I didn't get that from you. I know it was a dominant performance, as in you got the win by decision, but it wasn't like, oh wow, he's arrived. It wasn't that type of performance that I know he can deliver.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
All right, what else?
All right, then we had the co-main event was a fight that Anthony Smith took, with only a couple of days, as far maybe
10 days,
10 days notice,
maybe 2 weeks, somewhere around
2 weeks the most. I thought it was actually maybe even a little bit less, but we'll say 2 weeks is when he took it. Mm-hmm. Going up against Khalil Roundtree, and this was one of those fights I thought the same thing. Look, I love Anthony Smith, and I think he's a gamer, and the way he fought this fight speaks volumes about Anthony Smith. And that's the one thing that I want to get out. Khalil Roundtree was absolutely the faster fighter. I knew that going into this. And I've said, Khalil's fast. That's going to be a problem for Anthony. And Anthony needs to get this to the ground. And now Khalil's pretty good with his wrestling defense. And he's not easy to take down. And he's very strong. And the other part is he hits hard. He hits like a truck. And he's got good kicks. He's got this super heavy left hand that he throws very well. And Anthony went out there and did exactly what I would have told him to try to do. Look, I need you to press him. I need you to put pressure on him. I want him on his back foot. I don't want him coming forward. I know that you're going to be walking through the storm, but I need you to walk through the storm to get to where you need to get to. And man, he tried.
Yeah.
He tried with everything he had. He took some big shots. I want to say, what was it in the
Don't die on me right now.
second
please.
round? No. That second round, he got hit with a shot that froze him.
Yeah, I saw it.
I mean, froze him.
And I'm surprised that Roundtree didn't go after it.
I was surprised too, because you could look and say, oh, he is in deep trouble. And he made it through that round. And I was like, God damn it, Anthony Smith, you are a dog. You are a tough son of a bitch. You are just, I cannot say enough about what you went out and attempted to do. I know you're disappointed with the results, but no one could ask anything more of you. And sometimes that's everything. It's everything. You didn't get the win, I know, but God damn it, you went out there and you represented yourself in the best way possible, because you went out there and fought your ass off and did exactly what put you in danger, but it was what you needed to do.
John, look, a lot of fighters coaches will tell their fighters, you've got to do this. And they go out there and then they don't do it.
Yeah.
Because they know that that's what's going to put them in jeopardy of potentially getting finished.
Absolutely.
This guy listened to a T. You got to walk him down. You've got to make him feel uncomfortable. You've got to make him fight off of his back foot. It's hard to make the guy with the most power fight off their back foot because they don't fear you. You're like, if I touch you, it's over. Like, you fear them because, like, man, if I put myself too close, shit, he's going to knock me out. Anthony Smith, and it's so funny that you brought this up because I was the whole time watching this going, holy shit, you're fighting a damn good fight. This is exactly what you have to do.
Yes.
It basically showed him no respect, came in, took the big shot. When you said he got frozen in that second round, even when he got frozen, he took a step forward.
Oh, I know.
I was like, oh, you're in trouble and you're still walking forward. Like, what are you doing? Take a step back and circle, do something.
Get out.
And he didn't. I think that's maybe what threw Roundtree off. Like, oh, maybe he's not as hurt as I thought he was. And maybe I'll just, and sit back. But no shame and at all whatsoever. And I look at Anthony. He's been around for so long. Strikeforce days. UFC obviously for a long time.
Strikeforce, Bellator, UFC. I mean, so many.
He's been around for so long, and he's still doing it. But this was one of those things where I think he saw the writing on the wall. Like, look, this is my chance to get back in that top, that top mix. I don't have much time left. I know I can do it. I gotta bring up something else too. He was in great shape to take the shots that he took, and this fight went into the third round. Like I've seen him get more tired in the first round against Glover. Like, he was relaxed out there. There's something to be said about when you take a fight on short notice, you almost don't throw caution to the wind. Like, I already know I can do this. I already know, like if I win, cool, that's even better. If I lose, hey, and no one's really expecting me to win because I took it on 10 days or 2 weeks notice.
Right.
And then that relaxation is what carries you through. When you have a full camp, sometimes you put more pressure on yourself, and then that starts to eat at you in the back. Then you start to have adrenaline dumps and all these things that lead up. He didn't have that. He looked good. He fought a great game plan. It was just Roundtree's night, man. It was the way that the power was there. The ability to get the takedowns wasn't there for Anthony Smith, but I sure the hell ain't taking nothing away from Anthony Smith, man. I got to give him nothing but props, credit. Man, I tip my hat to you. You straight up, great fight, man. Great job. Like John said, I know it didn't go your way, but man, I got a lot of respect for you, my man. A lot of respect.
Nothing but you got to say Khalil Roundtree.
Great.
First off, the lead uppercut to the left hand, god damn, beautifully done. As far as, and then classy as far as, walk forward like, hey, I can put one on him, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
He's hurt. And, made the referee basically stop the fight instead of see more damage that did not need to occur. And so classy move by Khalil. He's just a great guy. So, and very nice win. He's on a roll, man.
Yeah.
He's on a roll right now. confidence-wise, and we talk about it all the time, what confidence will do for you, you're looking at a guy in Khalil Rountree. Look at the wins now, 5 in a row. He's on a roll, man, and he's feeling good about himself, and he's putting on good performances.
Where's he ranked at?
I don't, I think he was down at 15, wasn't he? I thought he was
here.
at 15.
No,
he was at 11. Or is that now? No,
because
Anthony was Tuesday. 8. Yeah, Anthony was 8. So Khalil's going to be moving up. He's going to go past Ryan Spann. He's going to go past.
Today's Monday, so they should make.
He might be 8.
Yeah, they should have made the adjustment. Today's Monday.
Tuesday is when they do it.
Today's Sunday. Sorry, today's Sunday.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. My days are all messed up.
Today's Monday by the time this is out.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. All right. What else you got for us, Dave?
All right, let's hop into this next fight here.
Good fight.
Yeah, we had Nasrat Haqparast going up against Jamie Malarkey, and man, I'll tell you what. I thought this was going to be just a really fun fight, bangers brawl, and look, Haqparast, he caught him.
Yeah,
caught him with a clean shot. It put Malarkey in trouble and down, and man, when he decided to go after him, he was jackhammering that left hand on him, and just he didn't let Jamie off with a hook at all. So, very nice win by Nasrat.
Yeah, there's not much to say, man. He had a great combination.
Yeah,
followed up with a great finish. Hit him just right
not even 2 minutes into the fight.
Yeah, right on the button. Nicely done. I mean, look, Jamie Malarkey is one of those guys that he'll take those shots. He'll weather the storm. Yeah. He'll go through the damage. And in the second round, he realized, you just blew your wad trying to finish me. I'm going to go ahead and start just kind of chipping away at you. By the end of the second, I'm going to be there in the third, and I'm going to start beating you in the third. He has that type of mentality of like, look, whatever happens in the first happens in the first, and hopefully I don't get finished. In this scenario, he got finished, but I was expecting him to weather that storm, but just the shots. Nasrat had just too much power, too many accurate shots. Didn't rush the system, landed the clean shots. Ref stop, stoppage, good stuff. Next fight.
This was the one. Tim Elliott coming in last minute as a replacement. They put it up to that, like we said, put it up to bantamweight at 135 because of the weight. Take it on Sumajiri. Man, I'll tell you what, Tim Elliott looked good.
Yeah, he did.
And that's, I want to say this. Tim is now training with Chris Brennan at Next Generation. And Next Generation. And
yes,
he's just
next
looking
gen,
good.
Yeah, next gen.
Yeah, next gen. But I mean, Tim you need to understand, Tim was with James Krause for a long time, and then he was at Extreme Couture with Robert Folis, and Robert Folis ends up taking his life, and that put Tim into a tailspin for quite a while.
He's not the only one.
Oh, I know.
I want to make sure everyone understands, like that Robert Folis taking his own life, that hurt a lot of people.
Yeah,
changed a lot of
people's
fighters. Their trajectory
careers.
in their career changed.
Yep. Yeah. And he took it rough, and he had to find something. Well, he found it with Chris Brennan now, and he's kind of back. He's back to being the Tim Elliott that we knew and stuff. Just a tough, in-your-face fighter, but he looked good. The arm triangle that he put on was beautifully done. It was tight. Just the whole fight, because he was fighting someone, that in the stand-up is super long. He's got good power, and Elliott just fought his fight, and hats off to him. Just did a beautiful job.
Yeah, I thought Tim looked slick, man. Scrambling ability, all the things that he's known for. Seemed like he was just on track. He was on par for it all. When he's on, he's on. And when he's not, though, he just seems like he's in his own way in a fight. What I mean by that is that he gets caught up in having too much fun in there.
Yeah, sometimes takes crazy chances.
Yeah.
Does some things that you go, what are you doing?
He's like a small version of a Kevin Holland. It's a good comparison. It is like, good comparison. Sometimes they're like, look, they love fighting so much. Like, it doesn't matter what happens out there. I'm enjoying my moment. And I think I love that approach, because when I was early in my career, I was very similar to that. And it kind of relieves the pressure of winning and losing. Like, look, man, this is a sport. At the end of the day, it's still a sport. Now we know we can get hurt. We know that, there's severe injury, whatever it is, but it just seems like it relieves that pressure of like, look, I'm out here just having fun. I'm making money to punch somebody else in the face in front of thousands and thousands of people and people that are watching at home. And I don't have a care in the world. Like, this is what I'm doing, what I love. I go to the gym every day. How many people can say they go to the gym every day, work out, take care of their bodies, do all these things and get paid to do it? It's very, very few, and Tim looks like he's out there just living his best life. And that says a lot about him as a fighter, says a lot about him as a person. And so good for him, good win. And, hey, let's move on to the next one, buddy.
Yeah. Andre Muniz taking on Jun Young Park. This is one. Muniz actually looked good as far as getting the takedowns, but this is going back to you're grappling, you're not fighting, you're not doing damage. And there's a real question. I look at this fight and, you can take a look. I'm not saying it was a robbery. It wasn't a robbery in any fashion.
Robbery.
But you could
robbery.
You could definitely have, this was a split, and it could have gone to Park, for the win. It went to Muniz, but I actually thought Park, you can take a look at that first round. There was nothing done as far as submission attempts. There was nothing done as far as doing damage with ground and pound, no setups, it was control. And then when it got turned with about 40 seconds left, hey, Park was putting it on Muniz and put it on for those 40 seconds. And you look, you go, hey, he wins the round. And then the third round, you got to give it to Park. Muniz gets the second. Okay. But I don't know. I actually thought I was surprised.
Park won.
I was surprised. I thought Park won.
Okay. I wanted to make sure it wasn't just me.
Okay. We didn't talk about it.
We didn't talk about it, but I wanted to make sure it wasn't just me. I was like, I just didn't see any real work being done in the first round.
I saw no attempts to finish the fight by Muniz, and that's you gotta try to finish the fight.
You see a little bit of it? Kind of gave me a little bit of a flashback of AJ and Sydney Outlaw, AJ McKee and Sydney Outlaw. A little bit of that, where AJ spent most
with less striking from the guy underneath.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying that I had that same type of feeling, except I felt like this time they got it wrong. In the AJ McKee fight, they got it right.
Yep.
So is what it is. Any other fights on here you wanted to chat about? I thought the Steve Garcia fight was very impressive. But go ahead if there was
super impressive. I thought Gisette against Song.
Mm-hmm.
And Song is a good fighter, tough, good boxer. And Kevin Gisette, that's the second time that we've seen him because his first fight was against Kiefer Crosby. Mm-hmm. And he got the win in the first round against Kiefer Crosby.
I was wondering where I had seen him fight before. I was like, you look, and then remember, you and I were talking about this beforehand with the Kiefer, and I remember I was telling you how Kiefer had to fight him, and Nick Kiefer didn't fight him that way.
No, not that.
So
it couldn't, and that's okay. He coming in last minute, but look at Gisette has proved it. That dude can fight.
Yeah,
he had a beautiful jab. That jab was sweet throughout the fight. He was peppering him. The kicks were there. Everything. He's a solid welterweight fighter.
He's big for the weight.
Seeing him in the future. Man, he's
big for the weight. You know who he reminds? Yes, he reminds me a little bit of Pat Healy. Just like doesn't look like he does anything great, but he finds ways to be like hang on you, to hit you with the jab, to get a funky takedown, to make you carry his weight. He does all those things so well, and you're like, man, how the fuck is this guy beating me? And then he's beating you, and you're like, shit, like this is crazy. So he reminds me of Pat Healy a little bit.
Yeah, and I thought you're right. Stevie Garcia and his fight against Costa. Yeah, damn,
look good,
very impressive because Costa's good.
Yeah, he
is good. And boy, Stevie was putting it on him. That might have gone just a little bit long.
Yeah,
but it was a good fight.
You think, John? You think?
Yeah. Just a little bit.
I was trying to figure out what the hell the ref was looking at. He took I'd say 2 elbows too many.
Yeah, he took some shots.
Yeah, it wasn't a good one. It wasn't a good one, but anything else?
Yeah, you got to say that Tatsuro Taira, he's good.
Yes,
He's gonna be good.
still undefeated.
Yep.
Still undefeated.
And
I want to see a jump in some
I
competition.
like it. I liked his call out.
Who did he call out?
He's going after all of them, man.
Dave, can you pull? Who did he call out?
Damn it, I'm freaking forgetting. I did like his call out, and I'm trying to remember who he called. No. Damn it. Give me the flyweights.
Pull up the flyweight division. Pull up the
Where's he
flyweights.
going?
Dun, 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 dun. Manel Cap, Alex Perez.
No, Mokaev.
Oh,
Muhammad
good
Mokaev.
fight.
Yeah.
Good fight.
That'd be a good fight.
Yeah,
I would enjoy
good
watching
fight,
it. So
Good fight.
Yeah.
I mean, all of them are pretty much locked up. I wouldn't mind seeing him in Kai Car France. You know?
Yeah.
Wouldn't mind. Kai's coming off an injury, though, I believe, right? He got hurt. He had to pull out of his last.
Pulled out of his last.
He pulled out of his last fight. So he's. I'm trying to remember what it was. Shoulder, something. I can't remember.
He was supposed to fight Manel Cake.
Yep. He had to pull out.
Yeah. All right, so that is our assessment of Fight Night 83 from the Apex.
Our biggest sponsor is, of course, OnlyFans. OnlyFans.com/weighing in. Like I said before, man, like we're not begging you guys to head on over there, but look, we do extra content for over there. We want you guys to head on over there and view our extra content that we have there. It is free. We don't charge for our content that's on there. It's for your eyes only. Basically, people that subscribe to us over there.
Ooh,
yeah.
For your
The other thing too, though, I want to get rid of this misconception that like when you go there, there's this page full of just nothing but porn and all this other stuff.
Tits and ass.
It's whatever you guys subscribe to. So if you guys subscribe to us and then you guys subscribe to TNA, then that's on you. That's on your page. If you don't want to see that stuff doesn't come up on your page. So if you guys are married,
there is no algorithm that puts you into that.
And if you're married and you're concerned that your wife's like, oh, you have an OnlyFans account, say, look, you can actually look at my OnlyFans account and here it is. I have nothing that scrolls up and down on my page. It's basically just weighing in and whoever else it is that you follow. Yeah, whoever else that you follow and subscribe to. So that was a concern of a couple of people that had hit me up in my DMs like, I don't want that stuff on my page if my wife sees it. And I'm like, look, I've talked to the head of the North American district for OnlyFans, and they've said, look, as long as if you don't subscribe to it, it will not come up on your page. So you have nothing to worry about, nothing to be concerned about. Follow us over there if you guys would like. I would like you guys to follow us over there. We have some extra content. We will be doing some giveaways for sweaters like that right there, but only available on our OnlyFans. And so we want you guys to subscribe to us to onlyfans.com/weighing in, onlyfans.com/weighing in. Subscribe to us over there. Thanks, guys. We need to do a live. We have to do a couple lives. Maybe Tuesday. We do lives over there more so than we do lives normally. So we will do some lives this month. What is it? December? We will do 2 lives this month on that channel there. At least 2. Probably a little bit more. All right. There you go. Mm-hmm. All right, Dave, what you got here? Devin Haney. Did you watch the Devin Haney fight? Yes, I did. Josh? And what did you think? Yeah. I mean, look, he's good. I'm not denying the fact. It's tough to say anything bad when a guy wins every round because he won every round. I thought Regis was good. I think he's a great boxer. I thought he had a great game plan. It's just the speed, the footwork. He wasn't able to. He just wasn't able to. He had some good moments, but then Haney was able to take over the rest of the round, or was able to land just more frequently with the speed. That's where it was. Like I guess I had people going, man, you guys shouldn't cover boxing because you guys don't know shit. No, what it is that we actually just call it like it is. Boxing right now is in a position where we're not seeing the best fight the best. And everyone's like, oh, yeah, what are you talking about? He just fought for another title. That's not the best fighting the best. Maybe it is in terms of, that guy's going up and fighting in weight. That doesn't mean that it's the best fighting the best. We want to see the fights that make the most sense for TV. This is the entertainment business. We know that this was not the best fighting the best. Oh, he went up in weight and challenged himself. He did go up in weight, but this was not a challenge for him. He knew that. That's why he picked this fight. Like, that's the point. Like, if I was to sit back in my career and go, hey man, I wanted these fights because these are the fights that are the best for me. Those are the fights that are the best to make me the most money so I could keep my record going. But I never wanted those fights. I wanted the Cowboy Cerrones, the Anthony Pettis. I wanted the top ranked guys. That's what I wanted. That's what you should want to see from your fighters. The only time you'll see these guys take those type of fights is when there's 50, 80, $100 million on the line. You're not going to see it otherwise. You're going to see them continually pick the fight that they best feel is going to be the easiest fight for them to try to get another title as one, or two, to get paid out, which I'm not blaming them. I understand, but that's where boxing is at right now. And that's why they're suffering. That's why they're struggling right now to get fans in the stands and get people to buy their pay-per-views. And I got nothing but respect for Devin Haney. I believe that he is a fucking world-class boxer. Just phenomenal.
No doubt about it.
But there's other fighters for him to fight that would have been a lot more competitive. That's it. I'm not knocking anything to do with his opponent. I think he's a fantastic fighter. But it's just styles make matchups. And we know what fights will best suit for the fans and for the crowds to tune in and pay that top dollar in pay-per-view. This was not.
So if
you
were going to pick a fight for Devin Haney, who would it be?
I want to see the Loma rematch. That's me because I'm a Loma fan, huge Loma fan.
But Loma,
he's getting older.
Okay, and here's the problem. I can go both ways with it, because but Loma was a 126-pound fighter. Loma was a small dude.
I get it. He's getting older too.
Okay, exactly. And so you're looking at Devin Haney's the bigger guy. The guy that I would really like to see Devin Haney fight is the bigger guy, but he didn't used to be. Mm-hmm. I want to see him fight Terrence Crawford.
John, please don't get this guy killed.
Here's where this is why, when you look at it, you sit there and say, Devin Haney's good. There's no doubt about it. He's a good fighter. And he's undefeated. I want to see him fight someone else that I know is really good. And Terrence Crawford is the one that I go, Terrence Crawford beat him.
I get it, but John, it would be one-sided. It'd be that, and that's the thing, is I want to see fights that are competitive. I know the Loma fight's competitive. I also, everyone I've talked to, I've had one, maybe two people say they thought Haney won that fight. I thought Loma won that fight.
I thought Loma won.
At least I know that fight is competitive, and I want to see. I want to see what changes they make, what adjustments they make. The second fight will almost always be the better fight.
But if you're in Haney's corner, you don't want.
I agree with you, because if you lose to that guy, I just lost to a washed out old Loma that I should have beat. I understand why. I'm not denying why they didn't take the fight. I understand why. Why when I can go up and fight someone who's not as fast as me, who's not gonna be able to hit me, doesn't have the footwork I have, all those things. He is technically the better boxer. He understood that. He knew that. That's why he went up in weight. And we've said this multiple times, that fighters that go up in weight, sure, they fight at a weight disadvantage, but what they don't normally fight at is a speed advantage. And in this sport, in boxing and in kickboxing and in MMA, speed kills. That is one of those positions where his footwork of speed, his hand speed, his head movement, all of those things make it very difficult for a heavier, slower fighter to beat. He made that very clear when he won last night. Yep. And I said, he's not ready for Terrence Crawford. He's not ready for Bud. Bud will put his butt ass down. I mean, Bud's just
that's the fight I'd like to see.
I know you'd like to see it, but John, it'd be one-sided. He would probably get finished. It's a very one-sided fight. It's a very one-sided fight.
Okay. This is the problem, as you're saying, with boxing, though.
Yeah.
Because right now, Devin Haney is one of the stars of boxing. Is he not?
He's a good-looking dude. He speaks well. He can fight.
I'm not saying I don't like him. I like him.
Yeah.
But he's one of the stars of boxing. Mm-hmm. Okay. Along with, how about Ryan Garcia? Put him and Ryan Garcia together.
All day long. I'd take that fight.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good with that then too.
I like to see that fight. I would take that fight for sure.
More competitive than the Crawford fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Tank?
I agree with you. I don't think Tank would eat. Tank would eat Haney up.
I think so too, but Tank's a little bit smaller. Tank's a little bit smaller.
Oh, he's shorter.
Yeah.
But power wise, look at Javante can hit.
Yeah.
He's got that power thing.
No, I know.
And not everyone
Ryan Garcia found out.
His size. Yeah, not every. Well, there's also some things with the
the
Ryan Garcia had some issues as far as damaged ribs.
Did you see the Ryan Garcia interview
press conference
about the De La Hoya thing
with Bernard?
Yeah, with the Bernard thing, De La Hoya thing.
Oof. Yeah, you don't think there's some bad blood on both sides there?
Hello. Way to get that contract over with.
Good and ugly.
Yep.
But Ryan Garcia can fight. I think him and Devin Haney, that would be a good fight.
Yeah.
That would be a fun fight. That would be one that I'd pay money for.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I love watching Ryan Garcia fight. Love it. Yeah. Be good. Yeah. All right, what else you got for us, Dave?
All right, speaking of fights, we have an official fight for February 17th at UFC 298, and it's Cejudo and Merab, which has obviously been in talks for a bit, but finally it's official.
I think they knew it was going to happen. I think they kind of already figured
it's just a matter of where it was going to fall.
Yeah, yeah. Where did they say where? Oh, in Anaheim. There you go.
Yeah,
read Josh.
February 17th.
It's like, it should be a good fight. I'm looking forward to it.
That's a really good match.
Yep, I agree.
Henry better come in shape.
He will.
I don't have any doubts about it. But if there's one thing about Merab, man, that is a man that can push a pace. And you know how tough he is, and he's gonna be there all the way, pushing the pace the entire time. So you got to have the ability to match up to it and have your moment.
Hear me out on this, though. There's a man that can push a pace. You can push a pace when it's going your way.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot harder to push a pace when you normally are the one that's the hammer, wrestling.
Yeah, but hold on. And this is where people make mistakes. You're not making the mistake. I'm not saying that. But look, Henry Cejudo was a phenomenal wrestler at one time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And is still way above most people as far as, he's not Olympic quality,
mm-hmm.
At this time, but he can still out wrestle most people when you're looking at things. But it's MMA, and Merab's style and the way he goes about things, Henry's got to put heavy shots on Merab. That's what will stop Merab, because Merab will try to wrestle with him. I'm not saying he's going to get those takedowns every time, and he's not, but he's going to still be who he is, and he's going to put a constant pressure. And if this is why I said Henry better come in shape, because if Henry is not in shape, then his arms are going to get a little heavy and his legs are going to start to slow down. And then all of a sudden his wrestling is starting to wane a little bit as far as he's not moving his hips. And then Merab will get into him and put him on his back, and it'll be exactly the kind of fight that Merab creates. He's going to come in shape, ready to go, put his foot on the gas and go after
him.
So
you're saying Merab's going to win?
No, I am not. It all depends on
John.
How good a condition Henry Cejudo comes in. Henry Cejudo comes in like I have seen him at times. Henry's got it. He comes in and it's tough when you come back into a championship fight. That's a tough thing to do, and that's what Henry did against Aljamain.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a tough. I'm not saying he wasn't in shape. He definitely was, but he got tired, and he got tired because he wasn't used to it.
He's also older, though. He's also a little bit older.
It's not the gym.
Mm-hmm.
It's under the lights. There's more pressure. You burn energy at a different rate. It's all these things. I think having that fight under his belt now, going into this one, I think he'll be there.
Yeah, you can't simulate fight speed in the gym. No matter how hard you try, no matter what you do, there's just no way. I mean, I've done, AK is known for this, is we would spar 5 rounds, but we'd spar every round with a new fighter. and just to get the rotation. So you try and get a real fight pace. But even then, you can't do it because your body's beat up throughout the week. You're a lot slower. You're a lot more tired. Your body's more fatigued than the fighters that you're sparring with, and they understand that, so they don't try to like decapitate you.
Yeah, and they're not putting it on.
They're
you
not
in
meant
the
to
same
hurt
fashion.
you. That's the biggest thing. The whole point is to get to the fight to make money.
That's it.
In this fight, though, look, Merab is somebody that if he doesn't get the takedowns early and often, he will keep trying to go for them. But I also feel, though, Henry, learned a lot from his return fight, is that he can't just live off of the morals of what he had in terms of Olympic caliber wrestling. I think he went back to getting back to his wrestling roots. I think he went back to working with some of the lighter guys that he used to grapple with and wrestle with. And I think he's having Figgy there is going to help him a lot in terms of this guy's fast.
I agree.
This guy can scramble. He's all those things that I need right now to make me a better fighter. He'll push the pace on me. He'll do all those. That's going to be key. Plus, he'll bring in some guys that are Olympic caliber wrestlers that are better than Merab in the wrestling division, in the wrestling class. I think what's going to happen, though, Merab, this is what I think. If Henry's going to be successful, when Merab starts to wrestle, he needs to utilize Merab's wrestling against him. You wrestle me, I inside trip you right away. You wrestle me, I stuff your takedown, lift you, scoop you, hit you with the takedown. Every time you try to wrestle me, I out wrestle you and put you on your back. Now that makes you timid to where you don't want to wrestle, and now you have to stand with me. He's got to do that in the first round, maybe the second. Will this be the main event?
No, because Volk's the main event in that one.
Okay, so it's not. So this will be 3 rounds. So, and I honestly believe that Merab will go hard for the 3 rounds, but I think Henry, being Henry, I think he can go hard for 3 rounds. A 5-round fight is hard to return to. I think Henry going hard for 3 rounds is very doable. But
you got to be careful. You got to be careful with Merab as far as he does pull out a lot of. He'll pull out a spinning back fist in the first 5 seconds of the fight. He does a lot of crazy techniques.
Rafael Stotts found that out.
Out of nowhere. He'll pull those off. And so you got to be careful. He is someone who all of a sudden he'll do what you never expect to be done from the position he's at, but he'll do it.
That's true. Like I said, Henry is good on the feet. He's good. He's got good wrestling. I think his craftiness will come through. His veteranness will come through. I'm going to lean towards Henry only based on the fact is that Merab needs to get this fight to the ground to start kind of trying to break Henry down a little bit. And I think if Henry understands that, I think Henry spent this last 3 months wrestling, grinding, getting back in the wrestling room, understanding what it's going to take, breaking down tape, seeing what he does best, and then Henry doing what he does best. I think he's brought in a group of wrestlers that are higher level than Merab. And it's like, look, I'm gonna solve this problem. Henry, people don't give him the credit. Like they think that he's a super athletic guy. No, man, he's a fucking hard worker. That's what he is. Like he puts the work in. He breaks down the tape. He sees what you do well. He understands like when you do this, I'm gonna do this. He doesn't get the credit he deserves. I think when he's done fighting, he could potentially end up being one of the best coaches in the game. In the long haul. So
no doubt about it. But he knows what he's doing, and he breaks down where someone is weak and is normally able to adjust and make that his strength in the fight. So we're gonna see if he can do it again.
This can be a good fight. Next,
that's a great one.
All right, next confirmed fight here for February 3rd. It's a UFC Fight Night.
Cool. I think this is a great fight. This is look at Moicano. He's got fantastic jits. He's got great stand up. He's going against a guy in Dober. You gotta love Drew Dober for the way he fights, the way he'll bite down. He's super technical now. Didn't used to be, but now, man, he's very slick in what he does. He can adjust in the fight as far as when he's not getting that range the right way. He adjusts things well. On the ground, I think Moicano has the advantage in the stand-up. With the hands, I think Drew Dober does. With the kicks, I think Moicano does. It's a great fight. Great matchup.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a great fight. I think on the feet, I'm going to go a little bit more with Dober Chin wise, I'm going to go with Dober. The ability to take a shot, deliver a shot. I'm going to go with
absorb
the damage. Dober's not going to be the easiest guy to take down because Moicano is taller. He's going to be harder for him to get to lower his level, get in deep enough on these takedowns. But look, on the ground, I think Moicano is obviously the better fighter, but he can't afford to be off of his back for too long, especially after they get sweaty. So Dober just got to fight a smart fight. He's slick, man. He's good. He'll take a shot, deliver a shot. The speed and power at which he delivers it, he stays tight. As long as he can get his head offline, that I think that he's got a good chance of winning the fight. But Moicano, I feel like since going to lightweight, he's a different fighter. I think those weight cuts were killing him at 45. He wasn't having success. The chin wasn't the same. And then now being at 55, I just want to see him a little bit more active. He's not as active of a fighter as I'd like to see him. But let's see if he ends up winning this fight against Dober. You got to get busy again right away, buddy. Do the best you can to keep your name in people's mouth. As soon as your name stops coming out of people's mouth, you're just forgot about. That guy. What was that guy's name again? I can't remember who he was. He was good.
He was good,
but I can't remember. You gotta stay active. Yeah. Next.
Yeah, next one is not a new fight announcement, but it's a replacement. So UFC 296 coming up here with Leon Edwards and Colby Covington. Josh Emmett lost his opponent, Giga Chikadze, and now Bryce Mitchell has agreed to step in on short notice. What do you guys think of this one?
Giga tore his groin. Yeah, they actually had tape of it.
Yeah, I saw it.
Thing. It happens. This happens. What are you gonna do? But I tell you what, for Josh Emmett, there's some difficulty to this because you're looking at, Giga being a specific type of fighter. Mm-hmm. Bryce Mitchell is absolutely the exact opposite as far as his fighting style, where he's strong, where his weaknesses lie, completely different. Bryce Mitchell in the stand-up, I think, is going to have problems with Josh Emmett. Bryce Mitchell's going to need to get this fight to the ground, where if you were Josh Emmett before, you were looking to take the fight to the ground against Giga. Mm-hmm. You're definitely not looking to take the fight to the ground against Bryce Mitchell. That's only going to put you into danger because on the ground, Bryce Mitchell's good. Mm-hmm. I just don't know if his wrestling is good enough to take Josh Emmett off of his feet. He's going to have to do that by hurting Josh Emmett in the stand-up. Josh has got a lot of power in his hands. He's a good wrestler. If he makes this a sprawl and brawl type fight, he's got a really good chance of walking away with a win. If he decides to utilize that wrestling like he would have against Chikadze, putting yourself in danger, not the smartest way to win.
I look at, you are right. I don't think it's that big of a difference. Not that big of a difference. I don't think it's that big of a risk for him to take him down and put him on his back and do damage. Josh Emmett's been with Uriah Faber, and these guys, they've got good guillotines. They've got good submissions. There are no slouches off their back. They're good at getting back to their feet. I don't think that Bryce Mitchell brings anything to the table off the back that Josh Emmett hasn't seen. Now, if he does lose the takedown, I can see him struggling a little bit from that position and fending off submissions, side choke, rear nakeds, all those things, the ability to get smashed against the fence or the ground and then not being able to get back up. I could see that potentially happening, giving the back and then getting choked from there. I could see that potentially happening. But Bryce,
remember, what's Josh Emmett's record in his last couple fights?
He's got one or two wins, right? He's lost a couple in a row. He just won his last fight, didn't he? No, he lost. Mm-hmm. Two
in a row.
So his last win was against Calvin Kattar. He lost to Yair, but you can't tell me that Topuria and Yair are that they're at the level of Bryce Mitchell.
No, they're a
step above. And so,
Topuria's one of his last wins was against Bryce Mitchell.
Well, I look at Bryce Mitchell and I look at him almost like as if he's like a Dan Ige / maybe a Shane Burgos, which is no power, but I'm saying more of like a Dan Ige, someone who's in your face, in your grill, just doesn't have the stand up of Dan, but the griminess. He can wrestle you, he can clinch you, he can dirty box you, get you to the ground, put some pressure on you. that type of fight. I'm not saying they're the same fighter. I'm just saying that they can fight that similar style. Because Bryce Mitchell's going to have to smother Josh Emmett to get him to the fence to try to get these takedowns. He'll try to wrestle him. He's going to have a hard time.
It's going to be very difficult for him to get those takedowns.
Yeah, he's going to have a hard time getting the takedowns. But once the fight does hit the ground, he's got to be on top. Bryce Mitchell can't afford to be on his back because I think Emmett's seen it. He's seen. Well,
just working with Chris Hollinsworth.
Yeah, I forgot about Chris, to be honest.
Chris is fantastic off of his back, and he's been working with him. And so,
yeah, all those guys. I mean, you look at Danny Castillo. You got Chris Hollinsworth. You've got those guys that are out of there. They've got great wrestling takedown defense. They've got great wrestling themselves. Trying to take Josh down. I mean, he is going to stuff their takedowns. He's going to make him pay. So this is a tough task for Bryce Mitchell. What else you got?
All right. Not a fight, but Belal Muhammad confirms he is the backup fighter, and I'm just curious on your take if he was to step in, kind of how you see him as the backup here in this main event coming up.
I'm going to tell you right now. I look at this, and I'm going to go against Dave on this one. Shocking. We saw Belal against Leon for a short time before there was the eye poke. You saw what was occurring in that, and he was struggling in some areas of it. He was on the feet. Leon was just a step ahead of him, and he was trying to get the takedowns. If you look at this fight, and if Colby Covington falls off, then the Leon Edwards is not going to be an easy fight for Belal. Belal's, been in there with him before, but that's, in my opinion, the tougher fight for Belal if you're going to match them up. If you're going to match them up and you say that Leon Edwards falls out and Belal's going to step in and fight Colby Covington, that's a better fight for Belal. The wrestling itself is going to even itself out. It's going to basically, it's neutralized. Belal's got a good pace. He's got, very good cardio. And in the stand-up, I think he's got more power than Colby, and his stand-up has gotten much better. You saw what he did against Sean Brady. You saw what he did against Luque. His stand-up has gotten way better. So it just depends on which way that fight went. If Belal was going to go in, who's he going to go in against?
Yeah, Leon's the tougher fight, I think, for both of them. His ability he showed against Kamaru Usman is he can take you down. He's not just a stand-up guy, and he can submit you. He gets to the ground. He's no slouch on the ground anymore. People keep overlooking his ability to get takedowns, his ability to stuff takedowns, his ability to get submissions. He's fantastic. He's a full, well-rounded fighter. That's why he's the damn champ. Now,
that's right.
I 100% agree with you that the Colby Covington fight and Belal Muhammad fight, I'd love to see that fight. If Leon pulled out and Leon couldn't fight, I would love to see that fight. I think, to me, that's a great fight. You see the two of them. The question is, would Colby take that fight?
Well, okay, let's take a look at this and be honest.
John, take a breath.
But okay,
take a breath. Being honest. Take a breath.
Let's take a look at Colby Covington over the last how many fights? Okay, everybody he's fought has been what age?
Old. Josh Thompson
38,
age.
39. Yeah, all of them. Unless it's a fight that he's lost, every fight that he's gotten a win against, it's been against someone who is at the end of their career. They're at the end of their run.
Well, but Belal's 36, 37, something
Belal's
like that.
36.
Yeah.
Okay. That would be one of the youngest fighters Colby's been in the cage with in the last 5 years.
He's beat.
Okay. That he's beat. You can take a look. Okay. He beat RDA. All right. But RDA's he's been a lightweight his whole career for the most part. Yes, he has fought welterweight, but where he made his, run as a fighter was in lightweight. I take a look and, I've got Colby Covington in his last, 5 fights. He's got 2 losses. I look at, Leon Edwards. How many losses does he have in his last? How many? He's got one draw, and that's against Belal for the eye
No
poke.
contest, yeah.
No contest.
Okay, no contest. Same. And so all those wins.
No, John, it's not the same thing. Just letting you know.
But I mean, you look at it and you go, I can look at Leon Edwards and look at all those people, and he's got some people that are older, no doubt about it. He's fought some of the same people that Colby has, but he's come away with wins against those people. And I just look and go, Colby is in this position where he's done a great job of using his personality to create this persona that makes people either love him or hate him. Okay, great. But truthfully, inside the cage, there's not one person that's in the top 15 right now that he's beaten.
Yeah, I know.
Not one. Show me the top 15. Okay, you go to welterweights.
Tyron was when he fought him. Tyron and George were when he fought them, just for the record.
I'm not saying
they're not there anymore.
He hasn't fought people.
He's saying they're old and
they
were old. That's why.
I'm not saying he hasn't fought people that he beat. Yeah, he did. But you take a look at everybody in this top 15 of the welterweight, and that's a damn good welterweight division. He doesn't have a win against any of them.
Yeah. Did he fight Vicente Luque? I know that Leon did, but he didn't fight Vicente Luque, right?
No, he has not.
Yeah.
He hasn't fought any. You take a look. He doesn't have
He's been number one for like the last 3-4 years.
He's number 3, so he hasn't been number 1 for shit.
Well, but Belal fought recently, and that's the only reason Belal jumped ahead, and Kamaru's obviously just lost his
Well, hold on. Dave, there is something about fighting that, you have to keep fighting.
John, why do you jump? Why do you fucking take the bait every single time? I swear.
I love it. I love his Colby Covington.
It drives me crazy.
Just love. I don't know what to call it.
It's like the trolls on Twitter. You just they just reel you in.
Oh no, he's not reeling me in.
He gets you.
But
every
you look
time.
and you go, okay, here I got a guy who's sitting at number 3. Yeah. He doesn't even have a win against anybody else in the top 15. He's got losses, but he doesn't have one win.
But he was number 1 when he fought George. He was number 1 when he fought Kamaru.
George was how old when he fought him?
38.
38, 39.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah, Tyron Woodley was 39, I think.
38, 39.
40, but he was 38, I think. Yeah.
Robbie Lawler was
38,
39.
Jeez.
No, Robbie was...
No,
Robbie was older probably than all of them. Robbie's...
Yep.
4 years ago.
Robbie was 41 when he quit.
37.
Oh,
He was 37 when he fought.
Robbie's been fighting a long time. He was in the UFC before I was. That's
Robbie's been fighting a long time.
Long ass time. I think he got signed by UFC 32, right? I think he fought. Aaron Riley was his first fight.
No, he got signed. Yeah, Aaron Riley was his first fight. That was that UFC 36.
36. God, that was a fucking. I was there cage side for that fight. Fuck, it was a great fight.
Great fight.
I mean, one-sided, but it was
yes. It was a great fight if you were rooting for Robbie. Yeah, Aaron took a lot of damage, but it was tough.
Oh, fuck, he was a dog, Aaron Riley was. Yeah, all right, what else you got?
Well, had a chin.
All right, I wanted to get your thoughts on Islam saying he's not interested in rematches, but he does think Gaethje deserves a title fight, and just your thoughts on kind of that fight versus the Charles fight.
I think part of that is Charles pulled out. He had a fight with him. And he's like, "Oh, you pulled out. I'm done with you. I don't care. I beat you. I submitted you, and I want to go through other people." I don't blame him. And Justin Gaethje is someone that, he's first off, he's got the BMF title, so that's kind of fun. And he's, one thing: if you're gonna fight Justin, he's gonna bring it. He's gonna bring it. That's a good thing to know if you're Islam. I know exactly where you're strong. I know exactly where I think you're weak. And I know how I go about beating you. Yeah. Now, there's ways that Justin can beat Islam. But Islam knows the way for him to get a win against Justin. And, does the fight against Charles give you any more elevation than the fight against Justin? I don't think it does, because you already beat him.
I mean, let's be honest. At this stage in your career, he's the champion. He wants to fight the best and most available. I mean, and look, I've beaten Charles, and I did it in the first round. I've beaten Volk. I beat him, beat him twice. Like I went through the rematch because it was a last minute change. I look at where he's at right now. He's looking at guys like Justin Gaethje. He's looking at guys like Dustin Poirier, who hasn't fought yet. He wants those guys.
Can't blame him.
He wants the guys with the biggest names and the biggest resume on there to solidify who he is. And it doesn't matter if it was him. Khabib was the same way. Give me the best and the most recognizable one. I want to beat that guy. Do you remember the speech? Give me your chicken. Like that's because give me the one that you guys keep talking about. Like give me that one. And they're not shying away from the rematch. It's not the rematch. It's like if I'm going to get up every single day, I've been doing this since these guys have been doing it since they were 5 years old. I need something to motivate me. And I've said this, I don't know how many times. When I went to the UFC, I wanted the Donald Cerrone fight. I wanted the Anthony Pettis fight. I wanted the fights that motivated me. I was never offered them. This is where he's at. He's in the driver's seat right now going, hey, I'm not trying to duck anyone, but I've already beat Charles in the first round. I made it look easy. And I'm not taking anything away from Charles. We all know he's a fucking savage. We all love him. I think he's super respectful. If you have a young child, you look at him, you're like, dude, that's someone you could have your kid say, hey, I want him to look up to him. He's a good athlete. He's someone that's respectful to everyone. He runs around the cage. He gives hugs to his opponents before they fight. He's a good human being, or seems to be anyways. Yep. That's what you want. Justin Gaethje, very much the same way. Very respectful every single time. They want to fight those kind of guys. Like they want the guys that motivate them. Justin Gaethje is one of them. Dustin Poirier is one of them. He's already beat Sarukian. Now, my argument with the Sarukian thing is he beat him on his debut. Okay, Let's give the kid some credit. He's come a long way since then. Absolutely. But I think also, too, if I'm Islam, give him one more fight against someone else. Let me fight Justin. Let me fight Dustin. Let me get these guys out of the way who were waiting in line. Let me see if I can get past these guys.
Who's the hardest fight? Right now?
So for me, honestly, I believe right now, out of all of them, is the hardest fight for him is Justin Gaethje. You say no because of the wrestling, and I say, and I understand why you say no, but I say this: Islam has a tendency sometimes to stand in the pocket a little bit too long, and he can't afford to do that with Justin. And his wrestling is not double leg takedown wrestling. Okay. I look at Justin's not someone who sits in that clinch for too long. He's good at breaking out of the clinch. He's good at keeping you out of that clinch area and letting his hands go. Dirty boxing, uppercuts. He possesses the power to land the shot out of the break. He's a dangerous fight for Islam. Very dangerous. And I admire what Justin does. But I think he's a dangerous fight. I think he's a very dangerous fight for Islam. Now, don't get me wrong. I know they get in the clinch, foot sweeps, all that stuff, the wrestling, all that things. The fight does hit the ground, which it will. But I also think that Justin's not the guy that is he does not fight in the same way he used to. He's a different guy right now. He's fighting a lot smarter. He's not just sling it. Let's just get into this thing. I'm going to be an entertainer. He's done with that. He's like, this is my one more shot. He's made it very clear. He's going to fight a very methodical fight against Islam. He wants that fight to happen because he thinks that, look, if I just can keep him away from my legs, Islam's not going to shoot double legs, desperation doubles. He's not going to do that. He's going to punch his way into the clinch, foot sweep, hip toss.
Let me ask you this, because it's a simple thing, but Islam is a southpaw. Mm-hmm. Justin is very used to eating up that front leg of an orthodox fighter. That leg's not in the same place.
I agree. But Justin's also very capable of eating up the inside leg on a southpaw, inside calf kick. But
it takes longer for it to get there.
It does. You are right. But look, if I'm saying like with Islam, if Justin, I keep getting me. If Justin throws the calf kick, in the inside calf kick on that, he can't be so worried about checking that and throwing off of that, because if he gets caught in the exchange, Justin can throw the inside calf kick and throw a loopy overhand right and still land, and it could knock him out.
Yeah, but anytime that you have someone throwing that inside calf kick on you, and you're that southpaw, and Justin is now throwing that right leg across. Where's his body position? What happens when that straight left hand, which Islam throws all the time, just comes straight where it's supposed to and hits target?
You're right.
It's not a good place to be.
But if you look at the difference in power, like, am I taking that chance of throwing the straight left? Yes, of course you are at some times. But if I get clipped by throwing that straight left and that overhand right lands at the same time, who's going to go to sleep first? Like, Islam's got to fight a very careful fight against Justin Gaethje.
Justin, I think, has got the more power, but they're close. Islam's got he's got good steam on that left.
I'm not saying he doesn't, John. I'm saying, though, that we've seen that Justin can take it. He can deliver it. His only weakness, to be honest, he's had a career proving he could take it. His only weakness, though, in this fight is that if his back hits the ground, it could be over quick. And I'm saying it will potentially hit there. But I say if you're going to look at who is the most dangerous fight for him, and we saw it with Khabib in the first round. Khabib, he took some big shots from Justin in that first round. Khabib just walked him down. Islam's not going to fight him that way. He can't afford to fight him that way. He can't afford to take the shot that Khabib took. He can't. And he's got to close that distance to get to that takedown. I'm not saying that Arman's not a tough fight for him. I think we saw it in the first fight. It's an extremely tough fight for him. The speed of Arman Sarukian with the power, the wrestling ability, all those things. I agree with you. Being young, just that's an advantage as well, even though Islam's not old. But I look at those guys. I look at where he is at right now in his career. He wants to beat the biggest names first. He's beat Charles.
I don't blame him for that.
I want Justin next. I want Dustin after that, and then I want Arman, or whoever else is next. But he wants to get the guys that he hasn't fought yet out of the way. We all know that the fighting again. What do they call repeat fights or rematches? Fighting the rematches, like. It's you've already won the fight. It almost feels like, what am I doing here? Especially the way he won that fight against Charles. And like I said, I'm not taking anything away from Charles, but he did it in such a dominant fashion that it's like, I have nothing to prove. I can't beat you any faster. Maybe I can, but I don't have anything else to prove. I dropped you, jumped on you, passed your guard, choked you. Fight over. It's hard for me to get motivated for that again. Justin brings something to the table that I got to deal with. He brings excitement. He brings a plethora of fans, too, that are just hoping to see Islam get knocked out. And Islam brings a plethora of fans just hoping to see him dominate Justin Gaethje, whether take him down, submit him, ground and pound him, whatever it is. It's a different style of fight. Can Islam take the power of Justin Gaethje, and can Justin Gaethje keep this on the feet? And Dustin poses very similar threats. Southpaw. I mean,
Dustin's a different fight.
Yes.
I know that, Justin beat Dustin in the BMF fight, but if you go back and you watch it, Dustin was doing a lot of good things.
Yes, he was.
He just got caught, and it can happen, and it's part of fighting, and Gaethje did a great job, but he was doing some really good things, and he was in control of a lot of that fight. And, they've had that fight in the, before, and Dustin won it. So Dustin Poirier is a completely different style fighter than Justin Gaethje. He can bite down and do the same things as Justin at times, but he's a more methodical and a more, he hits you from more angles. Justin has a pattern. You can look for that pattern that he throws, and he throws it well. The uppercut that he throws with the hook, he throws that time after time, and it worked for him. I don't blame him, but he's got a pattern. Dustin has multiple patterns.
But we saw, remember, in the Volk fight. I know we're going on too long about this fight because it's so long now. It's not even happening
because it's good.
But the thing is you saw with Islam in the tie clinch. He's in the tie plum with Volkanovski. That's because Volkanovski was shorter, right? Trying to make him carry his weight, do those things. But he can't afford to do that with Justin. Justin will, if he tries to do that, Justin will come over the top and start uppercutting him, right to the chin.
Yeah,
and how many shots can you take? It only takes one, maybe two from Justin, and we've seen that. He's done it to countless people where he's just hit you with that uppercut. Next you know, you're doing the Zab Judah, the fucking stanky leg. You know, and it's like, and you're surviving for your life, and he is someone who can finish. He touches you and touches you. And I agree with you that Dustin is a methodical fighter. He's someone that he will take a couple shots. He figures out your game. He's a very smart fighter. And I'm not saying that Justin's not. They just have their different approaches in the game.
They're different, yeah.
And Justin's gotten a lot smarter in his last 3 fights.
Absolutely. I agree with you
Phenomenal.
completely. You can see the difference in what he's doing.
And I love what he's doing.
And I love it.
I love it.
I love what he's doing.
So when I look at all these, and look with Armand, like, I mean, look, I really believe that if I was being matchmaker for just one day and I said, hey, I want to see Justin fight Islam. I'm sorry, Charles. I want to see Justin fight Islam. And I want to see probably either Armand fight Dustin or I want to see Armand fight Charles.
Yes.
And then the winner of Justin and if Islam wins, he fights Dustin because Dustin's fought everybody. You put his resume, I'd put his resume up against anybody's. Dustin Poirier.
Oh my
against
God.
Anybody.
He's fought everybody.
He's fought them all. 145, 155. He's fought them all. You got to give those guys the respect that they deserve. If he needs to sit out until the winner of this fight happens of Justin and Islam, I'm okay with that. Like, I owe you that. You've stepped up on numerous occasions and fought fights that we needed you to fight. You've done it. You've delivered. I mean, you've got to give this guy his respect. He deserves it. And then Charles fighting Armand, and there's the threat there because Armand's got to be careful taking him down because of the submission threat. Armand's got to be careful on the feet because he is crafty on the feet, but we saw that Armand's got power in his hands. And I said that before, and people didn't believe me until they saw it this last fight. Oh, who was he knocked out? All right, well, just knocked out Benil Dariush. Okay, the guys. I like to see the Charles Oliveira fight and Armand Sarukian fight. There's a lot of little threats back and forth. I love to see Dustin get the next shot at the title coming off, even if it's coming off of a loss. I'd still like to see that fight. He deserves
one of the. I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but if you're taking a look, Poirier and Sarukian both from American Top Team.
Ooh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean I think that's why you put him with Charles, Sarukian.
Yeah,
and
that's why I said
that's
Charles.
Good. I didn't even think about that, John. Well played, my friend. Well played.
All right,
what else you got?
All right, let's take a look at this past weekend. MVP was in attendance at the PFL and even did a face-off. So just curious on your thoughts. It's looking like you may end up there.
I wouldn't get ahead of yourself. Look, he's gonna go where the money is, and maybe because they are gonna make.
So if he's gonna go where the money's at, where's that at?
That would mean I think he's gonna go where the money is, but I think the UFC. I gotta say this very carefully. I've look in the past, Strikeforce and UFC. Then past emails, stuff like that, transition, scene. They know what they're doing. They know that, look, MVP, we could potentially pay a little bit more for him so we can keep them from helping them build their brand right now, the PFL.
They've done it in the past.
Yes, we know. We know they have. So let's go ahead and stick it to the PFL because we know that there's fights that they want to make over in the UK. Because they have now their European PFL series. They also have Bellator, going to be a lot of it, be over there in the European series. They would love to have MVP be part of that. If you're PFL and Bellator, they would love that. So the UFC will normally do is they'll step up to steal somebody they know that's going to bring fans and put fans in the seats. So I would expect them to step up in this situation possibly and take him. The only concern I have with him is with MVP is that he is a little bit older. He's 36, I believe. And they know that they're not going to have a long time with him. So we'd like to probably try to bring him over to a 4-fight deal, potentially try to get him beat to let him know that he was never that good. That's been their MO.
That's okay.
The UFC's MO. This fight, though, when just in terms of with him and Cedric.
Doumbé?
Yeah, Doumbé. Yeah. I don't think it's a good fight for MVP, though. And so that's another, like, if you're going to bring him over, I don't think it's a good fight for him. I think
why?
I think
I mean, I'm asking you, the guys that have given MVP the most trouble are who?
wrestlers.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what? Cedric
He's all
has none
stand-up.
of.
He's
All stand up. You know, it's good. Look,
No, I agree.
Look, Cedric has power. He's a great kickboxer.
Mm-hmm.
He's fun to watch. He is exciting, and so is MVP. I think it would be a phenomenal fight.
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So, who was the guy that had really good leg kicks in Bellator that swept the leg?
Oh, Douglas Lima, no doubt about it.
How hard do you think Doumbé kicks?
Oh, he kicks like a mule.
Like more than Lima?
No,
No,
Lima kicks hard. I think he's equal.
Okay.
I'm not going to take anything away from him.
So, like, and my point is the style and the stance of which MVP fights, that lead leg calf kick, that lead leg kick, it's there. Now you can be countered, as we've noticed. We can be countered.
But I'm going back since you wanted to bring this up. One of the things that Venom Page was very cognizant of in fighting against Lima was wanting to take him down.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he had to think he's got to be in that position to stop the takedown. Again, with Cedric Doumbé, now I don't have to worry about it. He's not going to take me down. In fact, if it gets to it, I'll be the guy taking him down.
I think you will see that.
And I would, if I was MVP, I would do that.
Wasn't it?
Look, the first time I refereed,
that's what I was getting to.
Michael Venom Page,
right now.
he pulled off a submission.
An ankle lock, right?
Okay. Yeah, dude. He a fucking toe hold.
Yeah.
He fucking did a toe hold, right? I'm like, oh my God, right? So look, I don't know. I just look at it in this. I think you're right. I think the UFC might look at it and go, we'll pay him even more than we want to bring him over to take him away, which, hey, that's part of the game. And that's what you know.
Yeah.
But this is good because why is it good? Because Michael Venom Page has options.
Yeah.
And he's going to make more money if the UFC goes, we don't want him going to the PFL.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Pay him the more money. He got the more money.
Well,
that's a good thing.
I think that history has shown that you guys, like, I've been privy to insider information, not as much as Nancy Pelosi, but I've been privy to some insider information. Okay. And
that's insider trading. There's
it's
a difference.
Same shit.
Your insider trading sucks.
It does. It really does. But these are things where there's a gameplay between promotions. Okay. I want to see how much this guy's willing to get paid. Okay. Now that I know his number because he brought it to me from this other organization, I'm going to match it or I'm going to beat it. And I'll give you a couple little things differently that I can do for you that they can't do. And that's the way the game is played. Yeah. And I think it's in what you have to remember is rich people get pleasure in screwing over the other rich person. And so, but at the end of the day, they still kind of mutually respect each other. Like, man, you got me, but I'm going to get you next time. So, so I would expect something like that to come out. This little step up in them coming to the cage, all it did was bring a little bit more publicity to MVP.
I like it.
We'll see how it all pans out for him. But either way, he's got a home to go to. He's gonna get paid, and I think it was the best thing for him to do to become a free agent.
Oh, no doubt about it.
And I've said this for 6-7 years now, maybe even longer. You guys, fight out your contracts. Find out what you're worth. Because even all the way up until the point I left and went to Bellator, my contract that UFC was offering was still on the table. No matter what you want to read from somebody, okay, the contract was still on the table. It wasn't until my 90 days was up when they said, hey, we're going to pull it from you because we know you're going to leave. They knew I was leaving. So that they saw the writing on the wall. They did not release me. They did not let me go. They did the same thing with Phil Davis. They did the same thing with Gegard Mousasi. They were trying to re-sign him all the way up until the day that they signed with the other promotion. Yeah. This right here, he became a free agent. He's ready to see who brings him the most money. Good for him. I'm happy for him. Whoever it is, they got themselves a good fighter.
Yeah,
what else you got?
All right, last thing we're going to wrap up on here. Something nice and light-hearted to get the show off the air with. Bloody Elbow has come out with a report. The that shows communication between Dana White and Lorenzo Fertitta. And so one of the kind of more harsh, for lack of a better word, ones that people are kind of spreading around right now was this text exchange. And I'll just read it to you as it's quoted here with each name. So Dana White sends out, bro, you know I love you to fucking death as it is, but what you pulled off this week with Melendez and other dude, talking about Eddie Alvarez, is fucking badass. Fucking cutthroat, nasty business like you see in movies. Good shit, homie. Congrats, Dana. That's what Dana White wrote. Lorenzo replied, we got to keep taking these fuckers oxygen till they tap out. We have sacrificed too much to let anyone get traction now. Dana replies, I agree. You're 100% correct, and I love it. So that's the one that's making rounds. Wanted to get your reaction to it.
Like I just said, did I just say this? I just said
but bring that back up to the headline.
Yeah, what is the headline?
Okay, because it says text messages emerged showing Dana White and Lorenzo Fertitta celebrating cutthroat negotiations. Okay, that's not what is occurring here. Okay, that's bullshit. All right, what's occurring, and if you want to call it cutthroat, that is Lorenzo Fertitta at a time that Eddie Alvarez was having Eddie Alvarez was upset with Bellator at the time. Bjorn Rebney was the owner of it, the president of it, and he was being harsh with Eddie as far as he was trying to get Eddie beat, and he was, Eddie was wanting a bigger contract, and he didn't want to pay him, and then Eddie wanted out of the contract. He wanted to get away from Bjorn, and so this is Lorenzo Fertitta giving Eddie Alvarez the money that he wanted to come over and fight in the UFC. Same with Gilbert Melendez. Gilbert Melendez was a fighter with Strikeforce, obviously, when Josh was there. His contract was picked up by the UFC, and then at the end of it, he went to Bellator, got a nice offer, a big offer, and instead of losing Gilbert to Bellator, Lorenzo Fertitta paid more than he wanted to pay for Gilbert Melendez to stay with the UFC. Yep. So Gilbert ended up making more money based upon going and doing exactly what you're saying, Josh, seeing what he was worth. Mm-hmm. Bellator offered him a ton of money. That was on the table then, and the UFC had the right to match it. They matched it. That's what this is. Mm-hmm. So when you sit there and you say cutthroat, yes, it was cutthroat if you want to say towards specific promotions, Bellator being the one, but it wasn't cutthroat towards the fighters.
No,
they made their money.
This is business. Like
that's business.
They didn't do anything wrong. He went out there and did what he had to do, because if you look at what they had at the time in Bellator, they had Eddie Alvarez, they had Will Brooks, they had Michael Chandler, they had Patricky Pitbull. Those four guys, and you add Gilbert Melendez to that mix. They had also Marcin Held, real good submission guy.
Yep.
You add those six guys. Sorry, but now you have a good lightweight tournament. And there was no saying like they hadn't. And during that time, they hadn't re-signed me yet. And I was contemplating leaving. They offered me a good deal, and then I stayed. But I didn't go and test the waters over there at the other contract. But I do know that when Gilbert did go over there, it was because there was talks already that Bjorn was going to be out. And there was a lot of talk that Scott Coker was going to come in. And so I think they were like, look, we can't let any fighters from Strikeforce potentially go to Bellator, because there was already rumblings that Bjorn was going to be out and that Scott Coker was going to be in. And it ended up working out that way, but it was like a year later or something. But they just didn't want any of the Strikeforce guys to be able to bounce and go to Bellator, because if Coker did go there and these guys' contracts, which was about 3 years later, I think it was like a 2-year or 3-year later type situation, was that they didn't want them to be able to run back to who they were already being promoted by, which was Scott Coker. And so they overpaid. And I do know what Gilbert's contract was. He had a great contract, but one of the biggest things was he had a non-cut.
Right.
So he couldn't be cut whether he won or he lost. Didn't matter. He was guaranteed, I believe, 10 fights, but they could cut him or renegotiate after 8. And that was a great. He was making a lot of money. Good, at least a really good, decent amount of money, especially for that time frame.
No, he was making good money.
He was making good money for that time frame. It was good money for that time frame. It's still kind of good money now, but he did really well for himself, and just by testing out the free agency. And great job by him, man. I'm happy for him. Good for him.
This article is basically trying to say that Dana and Lorenzo were cutthroat with fighters. They weren't being cutthroat with fighters.
No.
And that's, when he's sitting there and he's saying, I fucking love you, what you're doing and stuff. Dude, that because he's winning.
Yeah.
He's getting the fighters, and that's what it's about. I just look at it and I go, this is not the way the headline makes you think.
Do you think the media believes that like NBA and NFL owners don't do this shit? Like, what do you guys think? Do you think that like they just sit back and go, you know what, buddy, next time I'll get him. You get him this time. No, they're like, fuck no. These guys, they're in this. They didn't become multimillionaires. Some of them billionaires.
No, Jerry Jones is the nicest negotiator there is.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's you can just see it. It's come on, guys. Like, this is how this stuff is done. I mean, I could sit here probably in a full 2 or 3 hour long show, tell you a lot of it, and I'm sure John could tell you even longer because he's been around since dirt. But there's so many things to say about these contract deals, from deals that we've had, our managers we've talked to, managers I've had myself, and the dealings with our Joe Silva, whether it's Dana White, whether it's the Fertittas, whether it's, anybody. There's so many different ways that they have done deals. Doesn't mean that they're cutthroat. It just means that this is how we run our business model. You like it, great. If you don't, you don't have to fight here. That's the number one thing that I think people are forgetting. MMA fighters have made a choice to be MMA fighters, and and the business is not for everyone, and fighters, and for myself, John knows I'm not for everyone, and that's just the way this is. John's not for everyone. It's the way that we interact with people.
Definitely not.
That's just the way we interact with people. Sometimes we have lifelong friends and sometimes we don't. But guess what? I'm not meant for everyone, and I don't want to be for everyone, And so I enjoy my lifestyle. And I think those people that do the business that they do, Dana, Lorenzo, NBA owners, Jerry Jones, whatever it is, Mark Cuban, they do it because they're addicted to the hustle. They're addicted to knowing that I got this one over on you, on to the next one now. I won one more notch on my bedpost over you. That's what it is, man. They're addicted to the grind. So, all right, hey guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed this 2 hour long show.
Damn, has it
we
been
dropped
that long?
It. Yes, we did. It was fun. We had a great time, man. We had a great time. Yeah. Like I said earlier, hit me up if you guys have any questions about the CPI stem cells. Let me know. Slide in my DMs at the real punk. Okay, and I'll get back to you as best I can. And but before we guys go to weighingInmerch.com, pick up some of our hoodies and stuff that are available. They are there at weighingInmerch.com. It is getting to be hat season, beanie season.
Not getting to be hat season. It is Christmas time, and you need to buy some of this stuff for your loved ones because they're going to look fantastic at Christmas time wearing our merch.
You mean? So what you're saying is we should make one that says, "Who did you vote for?" So you could have that conversation at your dinner table on Christmas Day. So who are you voting for? Oh, good old Thanksgiving and Christmas conversation. Hey guys, we want to thank you guys so much for continuing to support us. Make sure you guys head over to onlyfans.com/weighing-in. Subscribe to us over there. It is free. We're doing some live shows over there during this Christmas time. We're going to try to drop at least one, maybe two if we can in the next week and a half. And hopefully you guys enjoy it, man. And John, take us away, bud.
Hey, for everyone out there, we hope you enjoyed the show. Like I said, Christmas time, buy the merch. We will see you.